the Dodgers knock off the San Diego Padres in 5 games. It was a great season. I want to just give my respect to the Padres on a well-fought battle, on really just giving the Dodgers a great effort. And, you know, I would love to give them their respects. But I'm not going to, Branden, because we just don't give a fuck.
Wow.
We don't give a fuck. In the words of Kike Hernandez, no fucks given. We're back. It's deferred collusion. Dodgers just knocked them dicks off the Padres, shut them out. Fuck you. How you doing, Branden?
I'm very well. I would be a very
Yeah.
blue boy talking to you today, Jess. But, you know, we've talked about them. The baseball gods are real. They're alive and thriving. The Dodgers win Game 5, 2-0 against the San Diego Padres off a pair of solo shots by the Hernandez, not related stepbrothers, Kike and Teoscar. My God, Kike now has 14 postseason home runs, which is more than fucking Chipper Jones, A-Rod, and I think it's Miggy Cabrera.
Wow.
That all have 13. So Kike, wow, what a fucking guy who loves the spotlight. Teoscar as well. Seems like they really step up when the lights are brightest. And like you said, Kike said it, he just don't give a fuck. This team don't give a fuck.
Amazing.
And I think what they mean by that, Jess, is I think they mean that the Dodgers have let some of that pressure get to them over the years. Maybe that feeling of, hey, we're supposed to be here. We're going to just, you know, play our game and let the balls land where they will. And maybe they were more observers in the past as opposed to active participants in handing their own fate. Well, they were pretty damn active, especially those bullpen arms. Great start from Yamamoto. And honestly, shouts out to the island nation of Japan, because this was an incredible start for both pitchers. Yu Darvish spun a gem.
He was amazing all series. All series, he was amazing.
Just those two touch-ups, really. But, man, credit the Dodgers bullpen. They retired 19 consecutive batters, Jess, after a single in the third.
It's amazing. It's amazing because you go back to Game 3 of this series. By the way, I have one thing about the Hernandez brothers. Neither of them are related to Aaron Hernandez. So I just wanted to clear that up, make sure there was no confusion. But since Game 3, in that, what was it, the third inning of Game 3? I forget which inning it was, where Walker Buehler gave up 6 runs. After that, so that the Manny Machado base running thing where he gets into the throwing lane for Freddie Freeman, knocks the ball away, leads to 6 runs, right? After that, the Padres did not score for 24 innings.
Wow.
Not a single run for 24 innings. And not just didn't score, they never even put traffic on the bases. Maybe there was I can think of 2 or 3 innings where there was actually a threat. Yesterday, I thought the biggest moment of the game, by far, in my opinion, was when Tatis comes up after the leadoff runner gets on, and then Luis Arias gets a single. Tatis comes up with 1 out in the third, and has a 3-1 count. And Yamamoto, his stuff clearly looked better yesterday, threw a 3-1 slider, a 3-1 breaking ball, and Tatis rolls over it, grounds into a double play to end the inning. That was the biggest moment of the game for me, because it just completely killed the Padres, because after that, the Padres did literally nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Just
literally nothing the rest of the game. Unbelievable how well the Dodgers pitched those final 2.5 games.
Jess, we talked about this a little bit before getting on air, but, I was at Game 1, and I was telling you, man, it looked like Yamamoto didn't have it. You were saying that you thought he might have been tipping pitches from the home, camera perspective.
Right.
It sounds like there were some discussions.
Hold on, my front gate is calling me. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
Hello?
Sky, so unprofessional, dude. So, I guess I could just talk to you guys.
Sorry, my front gate. Somebody was at my front gate. I have no idea who it was. I ignored it. Okay, go ahead.
Wow.
Please continue. About tipping pitches.
Yeah, so apparently I think pitching coach Mark Pryor and Yamamoto were working on that since his last start. And Jess, if there is some truth to that, it would explain a lot of this quieted offense of this vaulted Padres hitting,
I will say about that, it wasn't just that he was tipping pitches, but in his first game, his stuff also just didn't look sharp to me. I mean, there wasn't a lot of movement on the fastball. The breaking ball was flat. The splitter was flat. He had no control over it. Yeah. So it wasn't just that it was tipping pitches. He also just didn't have command, right? So that was a part of it as well. But I do think he was, and I think that after Game 2, the Dodgers made some real adjustments. This game could have been wrapped up in 4. I kind of wish it was, because then Yamamoto could be starting Game 2 against the Mets, which we will get to. Don't worry, we're going to cover that. Love to see Yamamoto get that. Obviously, only 5 innings. He only threw 65 pitches or something. Very, very short, efficient outing. Could have gone longer, but I think they were trying to accomplish 2 things: limit his workload while also keeping his confidence up. Because I do think the Padres had a few hard hit outs in this game. A couple of balls to the warning track.
They had 6 balls hit over 100 miles an hour. I think Darvish had 3, but that might not include the Hernandez second home run. I just heard that stat live, so.
Yeah.
Camera.
I want to get to a couple things about the Padres here. But first, I just want to give my kudos to one Doc Dave Roberts. I think he called 2 of the best games of his Dodger coaching career in this series. And I genuinely mean that. I'm not being prisoner of the moment. I mean, he was perfect. All the credit goes to the players, of course, and the pitchers and the bullpen for being able to get it done. But he pulled all the right strings. He pushed all the right buttons at the right times. And I remember he called in Kopech in the 3rd inning of of the bullpen game in Game 4, and we had a 5-run lead at that point or something. And I was like, Kopech in the 3rd inning. But I kind of realized what they were doing. I think because it's a bullpen game, you put him in there earlier. You take a little bit of the pressure off him because it's not high leverage, but also get his confidence back a little bit. Because Kopech was kind of a little had a little bit of a fuzzy couple of outings his last couple times out. And then what happens? The next game, we go to Kopech, high leverage in the 8th inning, and he fucking murdered them. Just absolutely. He did give up a hard line drive out, but he just blew Jake Cronenworth away with a 102-mile-an-hour fastball. And I feel like that outing was residual effect of how they used him in Game 4. It was just a little confidence boost, get that 1-2-3 inning, and then he was ready to go for the high leverage moment again. Kudos, Dave Roberts. Well done, sir. Well done.
Big kudos. Just to piggyback on that, it was clear Dave had his arms that he turned to get specific outs, dealing with Arise and Tatis and Profar and Machado. Really, really had to handle them delicately because they'd been just blowing the cover off the ball the first, 3 innings, the first 3 games of the series. So to make those adjustments, it really seemed like the game within the game was really cranking. And for a guy who gets so much hate now, from home fans, was getting it in San Diego, which is where Dave lives, it was really cool to see him just kind of, like Kike said, just say, I don't give a fuck. That's how we're going to handle it. I don't give a fuck that we got 9 pitchers on the injured list. Look at the guys we do got, It's
they played.
It's a bunch of guys who've been there, dude. And now Blake Trinan has emerged as the closer, who we're just a few years removed from him being the best closer on the planet. Vesia has reemerged from a guy that Dodger fans were saying get rid of just 2 seasons ago. Evan Phillips.
And now he might be the best lefty reliever in baseball, or one of the top 4 or 5 lefty relievers in baseball. Not named Josh Hader, of course.
His fastball looks electric coming out of his hand, and you see it's hitting 95. We just talked about Kopech going 102, but it's where the ball's coming out, the arm slot, the kind of violent motion of his delivery, and I feel like he just gets on top of the hitter quick. And there were some silly swings on some
Yeah.
pitches. And it was, like you said, it's cool to see a pitcher throw with that much emotion. Um, yeah, I'm just really
They wanted to beat those guys, though. You could see with every out to end the inning, you could tell how much it meant to beat those guys. And like Vesia, I think Vesia really like champion. He carries that like swagger into every outing, which is why I love him. I was talking to somebody about him yesterday. He has like the best in all of baseball. He has the best horizontal plane on his fastball. So because he kind of throws from like a low arm slot because he's a little shorter for pitchers, he really that has that illusion of the pitch rising at the hitters, and it's really effective against right-handed hitters, which is so important when you're a lefty, right? And so he has like one of the better four-seamers in baseball. That it makes his off-speed stuff just that much better because he's able to use 94, 95 so effectively. But yes, kudos to them. I do want to switch to something, unless was there another point you wanted to make?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on. He did get pulled out. I don't know if it was the seventh inning.
Yeah.
They brought Kopech in when he hit that 102 to get Cronenworth for the third out of the inning. But Jesse, you and I both were like not sure if it was maybe gamesmanship in the moment. Is getting an MRI, you were saying, on his shoulder?
Yeah. Well, apparently it was like oblique, like cramping.
Okay. Hopefully,
and so they're gonna look at it like his oblique.
In the moment was like maybe just noticing he's like, fuck, I'm cramping, and like, from a guy who's been here before. Now a lot of these guys have that playoff experience, have felt that bitter sting of having a whole off season to just hear a narrative be spun about you. And kudos to Mookie. He was a historic steal away from 3 first inning home runs in a row, but still 2 in a row. A couple big RBIs and some big walks, but yeah, man, really good to see this team fight through.
I think Mookie coming alive, even in that game 3 where he got the homer and he thought that Profar robbed him again. That was a super weird moment. I think that was just such a big lift for the team to have Mookie back, because that was obviously a narrative about him choking in last year's playoffs coming into this one. And once he got his bat going, I think that the team so much depends on Mookie, man, because Shohei can only do so much. So much depends on Mookie being Mookie and being the guy we paid for. That I think that really changed a lot of the outlook, because this lineup is kind of clicking on all cylinders. They did not have a good game yesterday, obviously, and I do want to talk about that a little bit, because Shohei didn't have a good game. Yu Darvish, if Shohei never faces Yu Darvish again, I don't think any Dodger fan is going to be too bummed about that. But Shohei had a bad series, but he had probably the biggest hit of the series that saved the Dodgers season in some regards. So, don't forget about that.
And real quick, his hits were pretty much with runners in scoring position every time. So
all impactful hits, every single one of them.
And the OPS was over 7 something. So fuck it, what?
Yeah.
Real quick, Jess, I just wanted to say, did it feel a little bit like little brother kind of getting his comeuppance a little bit with big brother? Some of the antics after the Padres were up, 2-1. Dodger fans didn't help themselves by throwing shit onto the field, but a lot of the antics, the tongue sticking out, the fucking gyrating, the fucking talking shit, Manning
trolling the fans when you rob the home run, things like that.
Yeah. Team meeting, talking about Kopech, like his fastball's bad right now. He was saying in Spanish how bad it is, blah blah. And then like Kopech retired to the side, including Manning. It was like struck him out. So it's just like it felt like there was a little bit of like, hey man, no, it's not gamesmanship. You guys are just like taunting, like you really think this is over. And it was like the big brother response, like, oh okay. Well, all right, now pitch to me.
No. It felt like Dave Roberts made a good point about this. It felt like a fight. And it felt like, maybe like the little brother is now just as big as Big Brother. So now they're like they're the same size now. So it's like more evenly matched. And I think that they got their punches in early in the fight. But the Dodgers, with their experience, they've been through so many wars, they were able to sort of like weather the storm. It's like you gotta knock the champ out, so to speak. You gotta really drop him and knock him out. And the Dodgers just hung in there. And then what did they do? They pulled an Alex Pereira, and they just fucked him up in the final 2 games, and kind of showed who's still. They not like us, Branden.
They are not like
right?
us, Jess.
They are not like us. And that's not me knocking the Padres. I think that they are a great team, and I think that like they probably go on to win the World Series if they win that game yesterday.
I agree. I think the Padres are great, and I'll take it a step further, and I think what they've built down there in San Diego is great for baseball. Respects to the late owner. I saw Darvish touching the patch. It was just, I don't know. I think Darvish is a class act. I think their new manager is awesome. An awesome fit. Mike Schilt. There's a lot to be excited and proud of in San Diego, but yeah, this was definitely a redemption arc, dude. This was definitely Rocky 3, the redemption arc for.
Yeah, but to your point about their antics, this is the point. You cannot do that stuff where you're wagging your tongue, where you're like trolling the crowd, where you're blowing kisses, talking shit about the other teams, like making obviously in front of the camera so the camera sees you, doing all that stuff, and then going 24 innings without scoring a run and like having terrible swings to the plate, terrible at bats, total lackluster, weak effort to end your season. When you had a 2-1 lead at home, you can't do it. Like that's a bad look. And they're going to have to do some serious soul searching. Something tells me they're never going to change. But, like, I do think they can win a World Series. But, like, if they don't change it, I don't think they ever will. Because I think that they're always going to kind of have... It comes off like good leadership, but I actually think it's bad leadership.
I agree. And I think this is kind of one of the last things I just want to... I don't want to kick them while they're down, but I think this is a perfect example. And it goes to...
I do.
After the game. Just going...
I want to kick them while they're down.
I don't want to give their pitching credit. We just didn't come through. But they didn't score for 24 combined innings over 2 games.
That's what Profar said, right?
Yeah, that was Profar's quote after the game. So I think there was an image, Jesse, of the Dodgers celebrating with the Padres team watching from the dugout. But it looks like there are 3 notorious absences from the photo, and that is Tatis, Machado, and Profar. Your heart of the lineup, your team leaders, and I think that kind of speaks to it. So until there is...
That's a bad look, dude.
Yeah, until there is a little bit of ownership, holding your head high in defeat, kind of, Say what you will about Kershaw's postseason, shortcomings over the years. There's been a lot of high moments. And high or low, he's faced the cameras or, wore it. I don't think you can say that about Manny. I guess he can't say it for Tatis. I don't know if it's fair, even though he's been on the team a while now, He's had a few postseason runs, and for a couple games in the series, he looked like fucking Babe Ruth out there, dude. He was men's league softball. He just was hitting everything, but...
No, but you can't do that. You can't you can't leave your team hanging. I mean, it could just be like bad timing because like Tatis was the final one to ground out, so he might have ran off the field and just gone straight into the dugout, like pissed off. But like, it's just a bad look when your team is out there watching the other team celebrate, especially in this heated of a rivalry. The last guy on the bench is like your rookie, Jackson Merrill. He's the last one on the bench watching the Dodgers celebrate. It's kind of It's telling to me about like who the future leader of that team is, and I think it's going to be Jackson Merrill. I think Jackson Merrill will be like he's going to be like a cornerstone of that team for years to come.
And last thing, he's my pick for fucking NL Rookie of the Year. No disrespect to Skeens, but I think what he did in the playoffs was incredible, and I think that means something.
It does, and I think that he was also clutch down the stretch. He had a lot of big game-winning hits for the Padres, too. He was awesome. I think he's, like, my favorite Padre right now. He's probably, like, obviously I'm scared of Tatis and Machado, but just I think I'm scared of him because he just makes that lineup so much deeper. But either way, the Dodgers have done it. They have knocked off the Padres. It is over. We don't have to worry about them again this year. Enjoy Cancun. Have a good time drinking pina coladas. You frauds. Anyways, so...
there was another elimination game today, Papas.
Oh, yeah, but really quick. Muncy did one cool thing in the locker room and the celebration. You can tell what this meant to the Dodgers. he goes onto a live stream, like somebody's live streaming on the phone, and he goes up to the camera and he says, 80% of you fuckers didn't believe in us. Only 20% of you fucking picked us to win. I was like, yeah, Muncie, you go. You went 0 for 4 in this game too, but you go, Muncie.
Yeah,
Let's
dude,
go.
fuck it. Fuck it. Keep the receipts and drop that dick, dude.
Muncie is going to be a big part of this if the Dodgers are going to win the World Series, so I like to see him hyped up like that. But go ahead, continue, Branden.
Agreed. So, Jesse, I didn't get to watch this game. I was just keeping up with the updates on my phone. The ALDS closing out the Cleveland Guard Dogs, your Detroit Kitty Cats, terrific cubes on the hill. And turns out Scooble is human after all. Even a god can bleed. Yep. That is a 300 reference about the God King. I forget his name.
Xerxes?
Xerxes, there we go. You're going to say Agamemnon. I'm like, dude, what is...
No.
Fall of Troy, dude? What are we doing here? Great game, great series. I was wrong, dude. I thought the Cats were going to take it in 4. The Guard Dogs survive. They thrive off a grand slam.
They did survive, though, a little bit. That they got a little lucky in that inning because Scooble actually hit Jose Ramirez in that inning. Hit him on the wrist on like a fastball in, which led to a run with bases loaded, led to a run scoring. And then, but before that, it was like a little just like bleeder to the left side that they couldn't get an out on. So it kind of like it was just like things. He got baseballed in that inning a little bit, you know. And then came the grand slam, and he just completely imploded. But like he actually had a chance to get out of that inning because up to that point he was like unhittable in that game and in the game before. So an unfortunate ending to the very likely unanimous Cy Young of the American League. Unfortunate ending to his season, but I mean he was fucking phenomenal. But the Guardians, you know, they did enough to win, and yeah. I thought when it was 1-1, out of all the series, I said this was the one that I was most sure of. That I thought Cleveland I was most sure of. I should have maybe given the Yankees more credit.
Yeah,
but
and don't worry.
But I don't know.
We got a little eulogy for you too, and the great Bob.
Yeah.
But back to
Yankees Guardians ALCS.
It's a good looking ALCS. I'm glad we got 2 division champions in there. It is a bummer for Detroit to see them the magical run end, but it's kind of, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say it's fitting or that's just how baseball should play out, but it feels like a little bit more justice, right? As compared to some of these more recent postseasons. I saw Hunter Pence, of all people, speaking about some of the formatting of the postseason right now and how specifically last season Diamondback team had no business beating the Dodgers. That's Hunter Pence, you know, a fucking giant.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. We have the ALCS of the Guard Dogs and Yankees, and I'm pretty excited for it. Can Judge and Soto and Stanton, can they carry the Yankees, basically, through this pitching staff and bullpen of Cleveland? And can their offense, I don't know. Do you think that, I'm just kind of looking at it, do you think the Yankees pitching is that much better than Detroit's?
No. I mean, Cleveland's.
No. I mean, in comparison, because Cleveland, you know.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Episode. But I don't know, just kind of looking very top-heavy, you know, Cole to Scooble, I guess, is like a
wash.
At 1, but below that, it's... Oh.
Here's what I would say. I think that in that Royals, I think the Yankees got a little lucky to get past the Royals because I think that the Royals could have easily gone up 2-0 in that series in the Bronx. But also, in Garrett Cole's start in Game 4 to close it out, he was great, but it's a little misleading because he gave up a solo homer in that game, but he also gave up 2 balls at Kauffman Stadium, which is notoriously one of the toughest to hit homers at. He gave up 2 balls that were like caught right at the wall, which would have been home runs. One of them was a home run in every other stadium in baseball.
Wow.
And it would have tied the game in the 7th inning.
I know.
So,
I've
like,
seen a
I
lot
think,
of fly balls die in fucking Oracle Park, dude, against the Giants over the.
yeah, I know, right? But like, it just to that point, Cole's outing might be a little bit misleading. I think Cole's been getting hit a little bit harder and harder as his career has gone on. So I'm not convinced that Cole is just going to have some shutdown postseason the rest of the way. Like, so I think that there's some question marks about him as like a true, like, I'm going to shut you down kind of ace. Carlos Rodon is like, one game he's 6 shutout, the next game he's 2 innings, 5 runs. You know what I mean? It's like you don't know what you're going to get with him. Clark Schmidt might be the X factor for them because he's been very good this year. But I'm looking at the Guardians, and I think all they have to do, they're such a good, well-run team in terms of their pitching. I think that they need to just make sure that Judge and Soto don't beat them.
Yeah.
And I think that they have a really good shot of doing that. I think I'm actually picking the Guardians to win. I think they'll win in 7 games. I think it's going to be a good series, but I think the Guardians will get it done. Because I think that they just
that the Guardians will have to neutralize is I think it's going to be Jazz Chisholm. I think that he can be the spark that gets like a Soto or a Judge kind of going. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be the little game within a game. But another guy that, kind of outspoken. I know some people were hating on his takes, calling the Royals getting lucky in one of those wins. But, I do kind of dig a guy rooting for his team. But it is a little silly when you hear pros arguing with fans using the same kind of bullshit butter knife sabermetrics or whatever analytics we use to just lull ourselves into, no, it's not, things aren't as bad as they seem. Things are not as good as they really are, though.
Right. So who's your pick? What do you think? You got Yankees or you got Guardians?
You made a good argument. I have a hard time betting against the Yankees offense in this scenario just because I think it's so much better than the Guardians offense, so much deeper, I think. Maybe not deeper, but it just, I feel like.
Well, their star power is certainly there. Where the Guardians have one guy, kind of,
But, yeah, man, I think I'm going to take the Yankees in 6.
Do you think that if they do, would you say that the Yankees have had the easiest path to the World Series in modern baseball history?
I think it's unfair to the Guardians to say that right now because they are a 1 seed. If it had been the Tigers, I would have said yes. Honestly, because it's like, okay, wild card. On paper, that means that they aren't as talented, by winning percentage at least. But
and I think the Guardians are really good. So like I don't think so either. But if it was the Tigers, I would agree with you.
With with the Dodgers and Mets, I kind of feel the same way. Like I don't think that the Mets have just kind of squeaked their way through teams with dead offenses. They've back and their starting pitching is actually lined up very well. And
they beat 2 division winners, Branden. They beat the Brewers, and then they beat the Phillies, who looked like the best team in baseball for a good chunk of the regular season.
And their rival, you know what I mean? It's even a little added zest on that fucking taco, dude. But,
and they've been the best team in baseball. They have the best record in baseball since Grimace came around and showed up and threw out the first pitch.
The Mets, the Grimace Mets, the Hawk Tuya Mets. It's a gimmick summer, baby, and I was here for it. Now we're in October. It's spooky season. Who doesn't love a little silliness?
But I mean, look, let's just get to it now. We have the NLCS. It's Dodgers, Mets. It looks like Kodai Senga is going to be pitching Game 1. Jack Flaherty is going to be pitching Game 1 for the Dodgers. Obviously, I think it's fair to say you and I are both picking the Dodgers here. I do think the Mets are a much better team than you would be led to believe based on the regular season record and everything. But I also think that they are just playing really well right now, and that doesn't mean that they're better than the Phillies. So I'm picking the Dodgers to win. I think they're going to win in 6 games, and Um, I think that the biggest X factor here, if I'm being, is going to be, can we get one good start from Walker Buehler on the pitching side of things, and can we get Muncy and Gavin Lux going? If those two guys can get going, I think the Dodgers should not easily win the series, but I think win in 6 is my pick.
I definitely am picking the Dodgers. I mean, I don't know if you can tell why, but
yeah,
but I would be lying if I didn't think the starting pitching for the Mets didn't line up really well against the Dodgers. Yeah, I guess you can still point to some questions about Yamamoto and his readiness, definitely about Buehler and the overall depth. Can they ride that pen like they did against the Padres? But I would say, yeah, I think that's kind of what tournament baseball is about, where you did everything all year, so you know how to play your pieces, right?
Shortening the game.
Exactly. So now it's tournament baseball, and it's shown that the Mets have a propensity to line up against your bullpen pieces. They have a bench that's waiting to be plugged in and to get that big hit. They've done it all year, and just to name off a couple teams from the top of my head that have been hot and maybe not the best team, but have been the hottest team at the right time. The 19 Nationals, the 21 Braves. Any of those Giants teams from like 10, 12, 14. I think the 12 or 14 year.
Last year's Diamondbacks.
I mean,
yeah.
There's been a lot of teams who squeak in. I think the Royals in 2015 were a wild card team, right? Or maybe they were a team. I forget. But anyways, fucking get out of here. But yeah, so the Mets aren't to be truffled with. That's a joke.
No, not at all. They're good. They're very good. And it's funny. The top, Brandon, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Everybody talks about like the how it's this Cinderella story. It's like, oh yeah, the Cinderella $324 million Mets, the number one payroll in baseball. It's obviously very misleading because a lot of that money is going towards Verlander and Scherzer, who are no longer on the team. I think they still even have some money going to DeGrom.
Oh, money going to DeGrom. But you know what? I don't give a fuck about any of that. Those are contracts you sign with guys with the expectation of them being on your team, and then you trade them for something else. You know what I mean?
But so
DeGrom just went, whatever. But like, I think he signed an extension after the trade or whatever. But right. My point is, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, that's baseball, baby. Like, spend the money
and
go get the wins.
Yeah. 3 of the top 5 payrolls in baseball are remaining in the NLCS. So it's Mets number 1, Yankees number 2, Dodgers number 5, and then those big spending 23 ranked Cleveland Guardians hanging in there. So good for the Guardians. Well done, guys. Seriously, well done. I mean, getting where you are with the money you spend.
All year. Yeah. And so it is cool to see them get through. No disrespect to the Brewers, but the only other team that I can think of that ran pole to pole in the season, their division, and then unfortunately didn't have the success they were looking for in October. But that's the beauty of a wild card, I guess.
Before we move on to the final story here, or final topic, what is your top storyline to watch for the NLCS? Like, players to watch on the Mets, players to watch on the Dodgers. Like, what's your top story?
I think that Pete Alonso might be in a spot with runners in scoring position. I could see them maybe not wanting to tempt Lindor. So I think if Pete can come up with some RBIs, I think he can really anchor that top of the lineup and could be a problem. Another thing is kind of seeing if the Mets do have a lead, if the Dodgers can get to Diaz or the back of their bullpen, who's looked pretty damn good this whole postseason. For the Dodgers side, how does Flaherty respond after a rough outing? Now that he's got, they've moved on to the next round, do you think he can turn the page and be the ace that he's looked like for most of this season? You said Muncy, I agree. His bat needs to wake up. But I said it already a couple weeks ago, dude, that this
Thank you.
Dodger team is gonna go as far as the arm of Yoshi Yamamoto will take them, and right now it's looking like he could be one of the best pitchers left in baseball. I know that's a grandiose thing to say after one good start, but it was against arguably the best offense other than the Dodgers, in the postseason. So,
No, I agree with you.
but I'd like to see Freddie, feel a little bit better too.
Have a leg to walk on. It's funny because people are pointing out like the depth of the Mets starting rotation, and I would counter that with this. Like, obviously, we don't have Glasnow or Kershaw. Gonsolin maybe will make an appearance at some point. Who knows? We'll see. But the way I see it is this: like, if you're just looking at it, you're stacking up the 1 through 3 of the rotations. It's Yamamoto, it's Flaherty and Buehler, right? That's the 1, 2, 3 of the Dodgers. Obviously, Flaherty's going number 1, but that's just the order of things. And then it's Senga, it's Severino, and it's Manaea. So, like, to me, those 3 stack up pretty well against each other.
Yeah.
Maybe Manaea's pitching a little better than, like, Buehler is or Flaherty is. But to that point, I still think that, like, they match up well against each other. And then, like, the Dodgers bullpen, I think, just is better than the Mets bullpen. So I actually think that, like, the pitching still favors the Dodgers, even though the Dodgers' depth isn't there. I think that it's still good enough to get the job done here. I'll say the X factor for the Mets will be how far Senga can go in games. That's a big part of this, because I don't even know what his pitch count's going to be when he pitches, because he's still kind of recovering from injury here. So he hasn't been built back up. I agree about Alonso, but I would say like guys like Mark Vientos are going to play a big role in this series because
they're scrappy.
Because you don't want to let Lindor beat you. You don't want to let Alonso beat you. So, like, somebody else is going to have to step up. So I think a guy like Vientos.
Jesse Winker as well,
Yeah, those guys. Those guys are going to play a huge role here if the Mets are going to be able to, like, outslug the Dodgers. Because I think, the Dodgers...
fire starters, if you will, down.
Yeah.
But one last guy to watch out for who, he had a big homer for us, but his bat was pretty quiet. Will Smith.
Yes, he needs to get going.
Yeah, definitely. It's huge. But, man, it is great having, like, I know he's still young, but, man, he just feels like such a pro behind the dish. It's really nice. He called like a time.
He's been amazing defensively.
To get Freddie a little blow. But, yeah, Jess, I think we both picked the Yankees and we both picked the Dodgers. Do you think that's just coast?
I picked Guardians.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
Papa.
I picked Guardians.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Yeah.
We're free thinkers. I was going to say, I was hoping this liberal East and West Coast media wasn't.
Yeah, you got to give a swing state a little bit of a something to say about these playoffs. You know what I mean? I want to say one thing before we go on. I'm not saying Guardians because I want them to win. I'm saying I just think that, like, I'm not sold on the Yankees quite yet. I hope they prove me wrong because everybody wants to see Yankees-Dodgers. It'll be cinema. It'll be scenes in the Bronx and in LA. Shohei versus Aaron Judge. It'll be amazing. That being said, we will wait and see. It's been an awesome playoff so far. Branden, final story of the day. Take it away. You brought this to my attention, and it's unfortunately a consequence of the hurricane going on over in the eastern part of the country. But there's a funny little morsel that you have for us.
Well, I think it highlights the indomitable nature of the human spirit, and more so maybe the modern baseball fan. If you're interested, you can buy your own pieces of Tropicana Field on eBay right now, as people have found everything from turf going for $99, pieces of the stadium roof going for $69. I think I saw maybe pieces of the outside Tropicana, like the A from the Tropicana.
Oh, like the lighting fixture, like the sign.
Cover of the light. I think that's for sale. Right. So, with every tragedy comes opportunity, as they say, and with every storm there is a silver lining. So, Jesse, I don't know, is that a piece of memorabilia that you would purchase? Say there was a twister in LA of some sort, and pieces of Dodger Stadium were blown across the town. would you pick up some memorabilia?
Well, certainly Shohei's 50-50 ball that's currently they're trying to sell for like $5 million might be a little bit out of my price range, but pieces of the Tropicana Field roof, that's right in my ballpark. No pun intended. That's definitely within my price range. And yeah, I would absolutely do it, and I would put it right up here in my shelf. I would have a little
Right?
a little display of
That'd be
it.
rad.
So yeah,
I hope some
yeah,
Rays fans are getting married and they're like, oh, we should buy part of the roof and we could make a canopy with it for our wedding. That would be
yeah.
romantic, and that would be supporting your local sports franchise, which is fun.
Absolutely, and not to downplay a very sad situation. We do wish nothing but the best to everybody there, and that that this ends soon. But
Yes, my mother
just
lives in the greater Tampa area, so we
yeah,
don't want you guys
yeah,
to think we're kicking you while you're down like we did the Padres. It's all in good fun, and sincerely, we hope for the best out there, and let's get him some money. Let's do it.
absolutely. And that's it. We are done. It is going to be Yankees versus Guardians, Dodgers versus Mets. Padres will be spending their weekend in Cancun, and we're going to end it here. Branden, I believe you have a little eulogy prepared for those that we have lost throughout the MLB season, the MLB playoffs.
To the city of champions, Kansas City. We hardly knew ye, but boy, what a turnaround your team had this year. 30-win flip from last season, best in the MLB. The emergence of Bobby Witt. You saw Giancarlo Stanton go bid him fucking adieu. Kauffman Stadium was rocking, and I hope you guys get a new field. Hope you guys get that new stadium you want. But it was great to see your boy Patrick Mahomes out there. A lot to be excited about, but it does show that you're maybe another star away from really making a deep push. So Royals, enjoy your vacation. Only 6 more months until the next Bobby Witt at bat. Can't wait to see him.
Put the countdown clock on the screen. Yeah.
To our Tigers familia, Los Tigres, the Kitties. It's been fun, huh? What a run. Fuck, you Lions suck. You guys suck. But at least you're back. And I, for one, want to see Detroit back to its former glory. The Motor City. Let's get it back. The Kitties will be back. Hey, maybe spend more than $24 million on your payroll. And I don't fucking know. You'll make a real run. Support Scooble. Get him some offense. Draft well. But until then, I don't think anybody's expecting you'll make the playoffs next year. Please do not push Scooble too hard and blow his fucking arm out next year. He's our All-American linebacker. We don't want him to turn into the next Clayton Kershaw, which some have already been dubbing him. And lastly, to our neighbors in the South, the San Diego Padres. I said it how I said it. I am proud of you. What a great job you did scaring the shit out of us. But man, maybe spend a little less time being goofy and just a little more time hitting the ball. You'll have all off season to work those cages. Profar, I hope you get a contract from somebody. I don't know, Padres fans chime in. Do you want him back, or are you ready to turn the page? Manny, I don't know. You've never been Johnny Hustle, so no one's mad at you. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I don't know. I think he went one something. He hit one something in the series, but Padres fans trying to talk shit about Ohtani. I don't know, man. It's just weird to say the other team, you don't want to give them credit. I don't know, man. Be sore losers about it. Be pissed.
Hey, if you don't like that Shohei, if you don't like that Shohei didn't get any hits in Game 5, well, you can watch him be hitless while he's hitting in the NLCS. How about that?
And them's the rules, you fucking dorks. Oh, and fucking
one last
Astros,
thing,
dude. End of an era.
Well, no. No. We're only talking about the division series. Forget about the Astros.
Sorry, that one just fell out. Phillies.
To the Phillies. There you go.
We almost fucking forgot about you. That's how short your postseason run was. Holy fuck. Hart, Schwarber, Turner. Fucking A, dude. I wish Wheeler could have hit. I mean, fuck, he did everything else for him, but fuck, dude. Who else? Bohm was a no-show. Brandon Marsh was a no-show. Who am I forgetting, dude? Castellanos got booed and still made some fucking plays, but at the end of the day, the fucking fighting Phils, the city of brothers,
Did not fight at all.
Love is just the city of fucking losers once again, dude. Nothing.
And that, yep, and that is the eulogy for those we have lost in the National League and the American League Division Series. Sorry, Brandon, I have to cut you off. I have to get going. Brandon, this was a fun one.
Hey, it was a blast. I really went off.
Beautiful eulogy.
Look, it's all in jest. We love you. Baseball's a fucking nightmare. The playoffs are just anxiety written. But Jesse, it is always a pleasure. I love you. We've kept this under 45, and I'm proud of us for that.
We're out. Yep.
Please don't forget to like us, give us a subscribe, talk about us with your pals. Mm-hmm. We're going to be doing these shorter little takes more frequently as the playoffs continue. We are Deferred Collusion. With me, as always, my dear friend, my pal, Jesse, the King of Crespi Row. I'm Branden Bollinger. Enjoy your weekend. Go Sports! Woo!
And enjoy Cancun, San Diego. Take care.
Don't forget the sunscreen.